Hi there, neighborhood mystics. This is your Astro Tarot forecast for the week of January 29th through February 4th, 2017. So I thought we'd start with the astrology and then go on to the cards. So the first thing I want to say is it's now game on. Okay, so you've heard me say, and probably other people say for the last few weeks, like you may feel like you want to start something, like you want to go, but it's not quite time. Or perhaps you've been feeling with all the planets in Pisces, you've been feeling sluggish, disconnected, spacey, something of that sort. Like my son did mention that it's like in school and stuff, it's like he wants to pay attention, but he just kind of can't. And so I told him that was probably all those planets in Pisces, perhaps squaring his moon in Gemini. But anyway, that all that Pisces energy was a time to reflect and space out, if you will, or connect with the bigger universe, but not really a time to act. Well, now we have what's here. This is the time to act. We had the new moon on Saturday, I believe. Saturday? Yes, it was on... No, it was on Friday. It was on Friday, the 27th. Mars went into Aries on Saturday, the 28th. I'm recording this on Sunday, the 29th. And then this week we also have Venus joins Mars in Aries. So, new moon, two planets move into Aries. So now it's game time. It's time to pursue your passions and to move ahead with things. Now, things can get kind of out of hand, and you might go too big because we have this T-square with Jupiter, Uranus, and Mercury, and Pluto. So we're going to have this Jupiter opposite Uranus all year. So that's characterized by there's probably some place in your life that's already shown up for you where you feel like it's overwhelming and it's a little too much. And you might be pulled, by two sides where it's like, oh, gotta attend to this, but then there's that, and there's just not enough of me, and I can't do it all. So, as I've been telling people, get used to that because that's going to be here all year. And additionally, this is part of the Pluto-Uranus square, which we dealt with for several years in a row. So you should be used to that energy now, where it's this push for personal freedom and personal expression, and then it's thwarted or squared or I don't know the right word. But then there's, you know what I mean? There's this deeper, it's like a powers that be, or these deep psychological beliefs that are like, no, you cannot do that, So that gets triggered again because Mercury goes through, it passes up Pluto, and so it's going to square Uranus and square Jupiter. So it's going to kind of bring up that whole tension of there's only so much of me to go around, and I can only expand so much, I can only do so much, I can only give so much, I can only be so much, all that kind of stuff. So just as an example, in this Mercury, we're coming off the Mercury retrograde. So for the time that Mercury was retrograde, it was like the middle of January. And then when did it go direct? I'm looking in my little book here, because it was not too long ago. It went on the 8th. Mercury went direct on the 8th. So, since that time, you may have learned something because we had Mercury conjunct Pluto at one point here. Looks like it was the 13th or the 14th of the month. So you may have gotten some information at that point, or within the last few weeks, you may have gotten some information that's going to inform this. There's only so much of me to go around type of thing. So I was going to give you an example for my own life. So I work a job, and then I work another job, and I'm working more than I want to be working. And it's like you know what I mean? I feel like there's only so much of me to go around, and I'm not home as much as I want to be, and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I want to be self-employed. So it's like, I don't want this job to be my life. I mean, if I'm honest, I would hate for this job to be my life. So, I've been working on this, trying to launch some kind of, side income stream, self-employment, whatever you want to call it. And so, but like I said, at the same time, I'm having this, there's only so much of me. I mean, I work so much, and then I'm trying to launch a business on the side, and then I have several ideas, and it's like, they all look pretty good, and I'm like, but I know there's no way that I can do all of them, that I really need to kind of pick one, maybe two, you know what I mean, and just work on that, because otherwise there's no way. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. Doing all of these is not going to happen. So for me personally, with that Mercury conjunct Pluto, I found out some information on how to evaluate these possible streams of income that was very helpful. So this weekend I actually sat down and did it, because Mercury conjuncts Pluto again. See, it did right before the retrograde, and then it retrograded. So now it's coming back, and it conjuncts Pluto again, and that is actually today. But yesterday, I sat down and I went through and I evaluated these possible streams of income according to the information that I got about how to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, there's one that's for sure out, because it's just, for the resources I have right now, time and money, I can't tackle that one. It's just not going to happen. So I was able to eliminate that. So that's what I'm talking about. There may have been something, with this Mercury retrograde, where you were holding off and you were kind of trying to find information and trying to evaluate. So you should have gotten the information by now. And then that maybe can help. Perhaps it may not work this way for you, but it can kind of help that area of your life where you're feeling overwhelmed and there's not enough of you, and it's like this and that and the other, and it's like, there's only so much of me. Look at what has been revealed to you and see if that doesn't kind of help that. But like I said, we're stuck with it all year, but it may help taper down some options that you have. And then as well, this actually won't happen till Sunday, but Jupiter turns retrograde. So this is also a time to look at at the gains you've had over the past several months, and the lucky breaks you've had, and kind of consolidate your gains and review your wins, but don't, you know what I mean? We don't want to keep expanding. We kind of want to evaluate what's in front of us, and just try to keep it under wraps. But that's just going to be hard this year, because it's such a fire year. So yeah, we will have this week, after Friday, Venus moves into Aries. We'll have Venus and Mars in Aries. So it's time to pursue your passions. They may not come to full fruition, because Venus is going to turn retrograde in March. But hey, that's all part of it. So it's game on, move forward, drop what you need to drop. Okay? Because there's something, I just feel like there's something you need to drop this week. But there's probably still plenty on your plate. So if that makes any sense. So let me pull some cards and then we can go on. Okay, for our tarot card part of the reading, I laid out my traditional 5 cards. I'm using the Gaian deck. One of my favorite decks. And so when I was shuffling, the canoe, or the 7, also known as the chariot, popped out. And I also laid down the 7 of air, the 9 of earth, the 9 of water, and the 2 of earth, with the 2 of earth being in the center. So I think the cards play in very well to what I was saying earlier with the astrology that we have going on. So with the canoe, it's like, or the chariot, we're picking a direction, and we have a goal in mind, and we're moving, straight toward it with determination. In the, I don't know if I want to say traditional, but in the images that we're used to seeing of the chariot, of the chariot driver with the black and the white horse, the idea is that we have like a higher self and a lower self, and that these horses are not pulling in the same direction. So the idea is to kind of try to keep them to come together, to make that middle ground, and make progress, like not give in to the lower self, but not let the higher self just carry us off to nowhere, kind of a thing. So yes, with that 7, it's like pick a direction, and it's opposite of the 7 of air, which is make a plan. In this deck, the man is looking at a map. He's looking at a map and planning his route. So now it's time to make your plans, because like I said, you should have gotten some information about where you're headed. So now it's time to make your plans. So that's the 2 7s, and in the middle we have the 2 of earth. So that's about juggling 2 different things, just like I talked about with that Jupiter Uranus opposition. You got to juggle two different things. You're being pulled in 2 directions. You got to find the middle ground. And then we have the 2 9s. At the top we have the 9 of water, and at the bottom we have the 9 of earth. So the 9 of earth is reminding us that we have the resources at hand, and it's time to put them into use. And with the 9 of water, it's in the guy in here, it's this woman is like in a cave, and she's like opening herself to the entry of the cave where water and light is flowing through. So it's like opening up to the possibilities and acknowledging what we already have, kind of idea. And this 9 is the end. This the end of the cycle. So yes, very interesting. Very interesting. Make your plans, but keep it in perspective, and keep it in balance. Don't get ahead of yourself, I think, is the message here. Is, follow your passions, but don't get ahead of yourself, because this year is full of twists and turns. So at the end of the year, we'll see what actually worked out and what didn't, but you're going to have to try a bunch of different things. And so now is the time to make the plan. Make your plan. So if you made a plan, tell me about it in the comments. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover by Paul Simon. The problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. She said it's really not my habit to intrude. Furthermore, I hope my meaning won't be lost or misconstrued. But I'll repeat myself at the risk of being crude. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. Just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free. She said, it grieves me so to see you in such pain. I wish there was something I could do to make you smile again. And I appreciate that you would please explain about the 50 ways. She said, why don't we both just sleep on it tonight? And I believe in the morning you'll begin to see the light. And then she kissed me, and I realized she probably was right. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. Just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, Lee, and get yourself free.